The rain had been falling over Atlanta for hours the night Naomi Carter realized love could disappear in less than 3 seconds. Not slowly, not gently, not in the poetic way movies teach people heartbreak happens. No. Real heartbreak sounds like tires screaming across wet pavement. It sounds like shattered glass spinning through darkness. It sounds like a phone ringing at 2:13 in the morning, while your heart somehow already knows the call will ruin your life before you even answer it. Naomi had been asleep on the couch waiting for him. The apartment lights were still on. Half-finished Chinese takeout sat cold on the kitchen counter. A birthday cake from Publix waited untouched beside the sink, with 28 candles still standing perfectly straight because Malik never made it home to blow them out. That was the kind of woman Naomi was, the kind who waited. Even after long shifts at Grady Memorial Hospital, even after exhaustion, even after arguments, she waited. Because love had always felt sacred to her, and Malik Johnson had once loved her like a man terrified of losing her. The phone vibrated again. Unknown number. Her stomach tightened immediately. She answered. Hello? Static. Then a male voice. Ma'am, is this Naomi Carter? Everything inside her went cold. Yes? There's been an accident. And just like that, the entire world changed. But before I tell you what really happened that rainy night, I need you to understand something first. Because this was never just a love story. It was a story about silence. About the things people carry without speaking. About how two people can love each other deeply while still slowly drifting apart. And trust me, by the end of this story, you're going to question how well we truly know the people standing closest to us. Naomi met Malik 8 years earlier outside a bookstore cafe in downtown Atlanta. He was loud, confident, funny in a dangerous kind of way. The type of man who walked into rooms like he already belonged there. Naomi was the opposite. Quiet, focused, careful with her heart, because life had already broken it once before. But Malik had a smile that made people lower their defenses without realizing it. That afternoon, he spilled coffee on her nursing textbooks and spent 20 straight minutes apologizing, while she tried not to laugh. By sunset, they were eating tacos from a food truck together beneath string lights while Atlanta traffic hummed around them. And for the first time in years, Naomi felt safe around somebody. That feeling became everything. Within 2 years, they moved into a small apartment together near Cascade Road. Money was tight. The ceiling leaked during storms. The neighbors argued constantly. But they were happy, at least in the beginning. Malik worked construction during the day and drove for Uber at night, trying to build enough savings to open his own trucking company one day. Naomi worked exhausting hospital shifts while studying for advanced nursing certification exams. Life was difficult, but they were building something together. That mattered. Then success arrived, and success changed everything. Malik eventually launched his own transportation business. 1 truck became 3. 3 became 8. Money started flowing faster than either of them expected. The apartment turned into a luxury townhouse. Cheap dinners became expensive restaurants. Their old Honda became a black Range Rover with cream leather seats. From the outside, they looked perfect. But money hides loneliness beautifully. That's the dangerous part. Slowly, conversations became shorter. Dinner together became rare. Malik stayed out later handling business. Naomi buried herself deeper into work. They stopped asking each other difficult questions because pretending everything was fine felt easier than admitting something was breaking. And the saddest part? Neither of them noticed how far apart they were drifting until the distance already felt normal. If you're listening right now, I want to ask you something honestly. Have you ever loved somebody deeply, but still felt lonely beside them? Type yes or no down in the comments. And while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe, because stories like this hit differently when they feel real. Now, let's keep going, because this is where everything changes. The night of the accident had started with an argument. Not explosive, not dramatic. The dangerous arguments are usually the quiet ones. Naomi had spent the entire evening waiting for Malik to come home for his birthday dinner. He promised he would be there by 7, then 8, then 9. Eventually, his texts became shorter. Still handling something. Almost done. Don't wait up. By midnight, Naomi sat alone, staring at the untouched birthday cake, while anger mixed with sadness inside her chest. When Malik finally called around 1 in the morning, she barely answered. "You forgot again," she said quietly. "Baby, I'm working." "You're always working." A long silence followed. Then Malik sighed heavily. "You think I'm doing all this for me?" "No," Naomi whispered. "I think you stopped seeing me a long time ago." That sentence hit harder than she intended, because deep down, she knew it was true. Malik went quiet, then finally spoke softly. "I'll come home soon." But he never made it. The accident happened less than 20 minutes later. Police said a semi-truck hydroplaned across 2 lanes during heavy rain. Malik's SUV took the impact directly on the driver's side. By the time paramedics arrived, he was unconscious. Naomi barely remembered driving to the hospital. Everything blurred together. Rain, sirens, hallway lights, nurses speaking too softly. She only remembered one thing clearly: the moment she saw Malik lying motionless beneath white hospital sheets. Machines breathing for him. Blood dried near his hairline. And suddenly, all the anger she carried disappeared instantly. Because when people almost die, small arguments stop mattering. Doctors called it severe traumatic brain injury. The next 72 hours would determine everything. Naomi refused to leave the hospital. She slept in waiting room chairs, ate vending machine crackers, prayed harder than she had prayed in years. And slowly, people began showing up. Malik's business partners, old friends, family members. Some genuinely concerned, others strangely interested in finances. Success attracts attention, but vulnerability reveals intentions. Malik's cousin Terrence arrived the second morning wearing designer clothes and fake sympathy. "We need to discuss business accounts," he told Naomi almost immediately. She stared at him in disbelief. "He might not survive this." Terrence shrugged slightly. "Exactly why things need organization." That sentence made something inside Naomi shift. Because for the first time, she realized how alone Malik actually was beneath all his success. Everybody loved access to him. Very few truly loved him. 3 days later, Malik finally opened his eyes. Naomi nearly collapsed crying. But something was wrong immediately. Very wrong. He looked directly at her, with absolutely no recognition. "I'm sorry," he whispered weakly. Who are you? Those 6 words shattered her. Doctors later confirmed partial memory loss from the trauma. Some memories remained. Others disappeared completely. And somehow, Naomi was one of the missing pieces. Malik remembered business deals, friends from childhood, football stats from high school. But not her. Not their apartment. Not their relationship. Nothing. Naomi smiled through tears while her entire heart quietly broke apart. "It's okay," she whispered gently. "I'm Naomi." Over the next several weeks, she told him their story repeatedly. How they met, their first apartment, their dreams, their arguments, their love. Sometimes Malik listened carefully. Sometimes he looked frustrated, trying to force memories back into place. But nothing worked. Meanwhile, Terrence grew more aggressive. He started showing up daily with paperwork, claiming Malik needed help managing finances while recovering. Naomi noticed small inconsistencies immediately. Missing transactions, unauthorized account transfers. But every time she tried warning Malik, he hesitated. Because trusting somebody feels harder when your own memories betray you. One evening, Naomi sat alone beside Malik's hospital bed while rain tapped softly against the windows. She looked exhausted, eyes swollen, hands trembling slightly from stress. Malik studied her quietly for several seconds. "You really love me, don't you?" he asked softly. Naomi looked away immediately because tears arrived too fast. "Yes. Even now?" That question nearly broke her, because people rarely understand how painful it is loving someone who no longer remembers loving you back. But Naomi smiled anyway. "Yes," she whispered again. And somewhere deep inside Malik's damaged mind, something moved. Not memory, feeling. Because sometimes the heart remembers before the brain does. Weeks passed. Then one night, everything changed again. Naomi accidentally overheard Terrence speaking on the phone outside the hospital parking garage. And what she heard made her blood run cold. "The accident solved everything," Terrence laughed quietly. "Once I get power of attorney, the company is mine." Naomi froze. Her breathing stopped. Then, Terrence said something even worse. "I told him not to drive that night during the storm, but honestly, the timing worked out perfectly." Fear shot through her instantly, because suddenly, the accident no longer felt accidental. Naomi secretly recorded the conversation, and for the first time in her life, she became dangerous. Not loud, not violent. Dangerous in the quiet way people become when someone they love is threatened. If you've made it this far into the story, hit that subscribe button and comment where you're watching from. And tell me honestly, do you think Terrence caused the accident? Or was it really just bad luck? Because Naomi was about to uncover a truth far darker than she imagined. The next morning, she met privately with Detective Raymond Monroe from Atlanta PD. A veteran investigator with tired eyes and instincts sharpened by years of lies. After hearing the recording, Monroe reopened the accident investigation immediately. Meanwhile, Naomi kept pretending everything was normal, smiling around Terrence, acting unaware, waiting. And slowly, more secrets surfaced. Brake maintenance records altered. Insurance policy changes submitted days before the crash. Large financial withdrawals connected to Terrence's accounts. The deeper investigators looked, the uglier things became. But the most painful part wasn't the betrayal. It was Malik. Because despite everything Naomi was doing to protect him, he still could not remember her. One afternoon, she brought old photo albums into his rehabilitation room. Pictures from vacations, birthday dinners, their tiny first apartment. Malik flipped through them slowly, then suddenly stopped on one photograph. Naomi asleep on his chest while rain tapped against apartment windows years earlier. Malik stared at the image for a very long time. "I remember this rain," he whispered suddenly. Naomi froze. "What?" His eyes narrowed slightly. "You hated thunderstorms back then." Tears instantly filled her eyes, because that tiny memory felt bigger than anything. Over the next few days, more fragments returned slowly. The bookstore cafe, the tacos, the birthday surprise where Naomi burned dinner trying to impress him. Little things. But love is built from little things. Then came the arrest. Police took Terrence into custody after evidence connected him to illegal tampering with Malik's vehicle weeks before the crash. Not enough to guarantee death, just enough to create risk. Greed had turned family into predators. Malik watched the arrest from his hospital room window silently, then finally looked at Naomi. "You stayed through all this?" She nodded softly. "Why?" Naomi laughed sadly through tears. "Because loving somebody isn't supposed to disappear the second life gets ugly." That sentence hit Malik harder than the accident itself, because suddenly he understood something terrifying. While he spent years chasing money and success, Naomi had been carrying the emotional weight of their entire relationship alone. And she still stayed. Months later, Malik finally returned home. Recovery was slow, painful. Some memories never returned completely. But something more important did. Presence. For the first time in years, Malik truly saw Naomi again. Not as background support, not as somebody waiting at home, as the woman who fought for him when he could not fight for himself. One evening, they sat together on their townhouse balcony watching Atlanta lights flicker beneath warm summer rain. Malik reached for her hand carefully. "I think the accident saved my life," he admitted quietly. Naomi looked at him in surprise. "It almost killed you." "No," he whispered. "I was disappearing long before the crash." She leaned against his shoulder silently, and for the first time in years, neither of them felt lonely anymore. Because sometimes tragedy destroys people, but sometimes it forces them to finally become honest. And honestly, that kind of love is rare. The kind that survives memory loss, betrayal, distance, fear. The kind that stays, even after everything breaks. If this story touched your heart, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment your favorite moment below. And if you want part 2, where Malik uncovers an even deeper secret Naomi hid during his recovery, let me know in the comments.